PAC suspend hearing into use of public funds. Porgera Mine Workers expressed concern on job losses. And 3 more new positive cases of COVID-19.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Wednesday's news. The Public Accounts Committee has suspended its operation. Chairman Sir John Pundari announced this, stating lack of funding and court battles, including the questioning of the chairman's position. Sir John says it is unfortunate as the good work of the committee will be halted due to external forces.
PAC Chairman Sir John Pundari was accompanied by his Deputy and Northern Governor Gary Jufa and Committee Member and Porgera MP Robert Naguri when announcing the suspension of the inquiries established by the committee. Giving the reasons, Sir John spoke of the circumstance leading to the decision.
Hopefully, precedent laws will guide committees of Parliament going forward, going into the future as a result of the cases that have now been filed. And we are defending for and on behalf of the people of Papua New Guinea. The mandate of the Public Accounts Committee comes from none other than the People's Constitution, the Constitution of Papua New Guinea. This is the only committee that mandated servants of the people as voices of the people see through to inquire into assets that belong to the people of this country and public monies.
The Public Accounts Committee has extensively queried the systematic breakdown of the country's health procurement system and distribution of medical drugs, among others. While many have praised the work, not all is on their side as they face an uphill battle with KPHL, and recently was served court papers by businessman Sir Costas Constantino. Chairman Pundari's post is also questioned.
What do you have to hide that you have to run to the courts? Why can't you come forward and assist this committee so that the people of Papua New Guinea can know what happened to their properties, what happened to their monies? What is there to hide? Kumul Petroleum Holdings did it. Now my brother Sir Costas Constantino and his company. Now they even question my appointment as chairman of this committee by the highest institution in the land, the legislature.
While all is not well for PAC, Chairman Pundari says the committee is conscious of the reputation it has built in querying the use and management of public funds and assets. He says PAC is an extension of Parliament and a voice for the people.
I hope and trust that through these court proceedings, justice will be done for our people and for our country.
Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
Porgera Workers Union has confirmed more than 2,000 nationals will be out of jobs if negotiations between the government and Barrick New Guinea Limited fail. Their jobs are not secured, and with the current financial issues amidst COVID-19 restrictions, the workers are worried about their immediate future, especially those at families.
With COVID-19 and unemployment on a rise as businesses struggle, the job loss of 2,800 plus nationals from Porgera Mine has nothing to do with COVID-19. Negotiations between the state and Barrick New Guinea Limited turning sour, and Barrick running to the court to have the state not publicize negotiation talks. This adding on to the strain between them, as the government and Barrick apparently both not backing down on terms for a new special mining lease. For the 2,800 employees, they want assurance that every employee is eligible for the approved redundancy scheme.
852. I think 856, yes. 856, 1,856. 56%. And this looks like 56% only lose the tax too. As a team, we are contributing revenue belong to the country, we go forward, contributing as a Porgera team, we are contributing long takis.
Unfortunately, around 1,500 will not be eligible and their entitlements are expected to be heavily taxed.
Unfortunately, we also realized that that same legislation also had parameters in which those who have worked less than 5 years or those who are more than 65 years old do not qualify for the tax concession.
It's an added stress onto the imminent fact that they are out of a job, most of them taking advantage of a 3-month grace period on medical insurance.
Out sick, all people out sick. Come lang again, PH, boss me. Me belas agam. But time pari go now. Me belas no what? Me belas what work ban meri. Begin ni. Me belas time. Now we 3 months stop. No what 3 months social stop logan. Me kisema me yet. Whatever lilik boy belum me belas kam lau sick. Ati bari go. Ati lu bosan me belas what back time now. Or work ban meri lo bari.
Other stress including bank loan repayments.
Me kisem time. Big same time now, all family sava, marry beginning sava, community sava, church sava, now me yet me sava. Now me stop Lomos be all in Kolwarana. Me come asking you government. Government blow me. Government now stop government blow me, government blow tari. Me like you helping me, you me like you long. Look long, problem blow me, heavy blow me. How you like helping me heavy na problem blow me, M stop blow you now, me stop Lomos city.
And the worst yet, there are children who attend private schools now looking to join the already large number of students in public schools, something the workers were avoiding when they opted for a job in the mining industry.
Parent, it's really hard. Sorry, I'm sorry. Because I have 3 kids and it's so hard to pay for our kids' school fees. So we depend on the company's benefits, which the company takes care of us, all employees, to care and support our child, our family, and that. So we, as all employees, we work in the mine. We send all our kids to private schools to have quality education, so that we want a better future for our kids. So it doesn't depend on all nationals. It depends. We all locals plus the landowners and nationals, we all want our kids to have a quality education. So we are appealing to the government for today to feel sorry or like have the heart for us, because in 3 months from now, once we get our finished pay and because we are made redundant, that where can we look for further funds for our kids? So like for a parent like me, I have 3 sons and they're all in schools, and that for next year, where can I go get the school fees from?
The union now hoping to meet with the Prime Minister to bring across their grievance on the redundancy issue and job loss.
Union, the Porgera Mine Workers Union, has done a submission with the help of PNG Trade Union Congress, which is our mother union body in Port Moresby. We know the PM is aware of our stay here in Moresby. He actually waited for us last week, but all of us were up there in Porgera again to sign out on our final, entitlements and exit terminations and all these things. We arrived late, and he's aware that we are here. A copy of the letter has been already, a submission has already been presented to him. We very much hope that he looks at it and give us some time to have a look at it and have a chat and discuss about that.
Adelaide Roxkari, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipatas wants better terms negotiated for the people of Enga Province. He said Barrick New Guinea Limited has legacy issues in its 30 years of mine operation, and this needs to be addressed and renegotiated.
Barrick New Guinea Limited in a media statement calling out the Enga governor for his stand on Porgera, stating that the governor was well aware that the state had previously owned 20% of the Porgera joint venture, along with the 5% of the operation owned jointly by Enga provincial government and the special mining lease landowners, meaning that 25% of the mine was owned by Papua New Guinea. Barrick stating that the 20% of the state was then sold to Oil Search in 2003.
The next generation will judge what I, as a governor for the province, did when the SML expired
Sir Peter Ipata stating that Barrick had operated for 30 years with no disturbance and on agreed terms from 1989. Sir Peter stating 30 years was long enough for Barrick's foreign shareholders to be satisfied and now wanted better terms for the province and the country.
Our desire to increase our participation at the mine. So as the governor of the province, I represent my people. I represent the people of the SML area as well as the general Enga population. And during my watch, the next generation will judge what I, as the governor for the province, did when the SML expired after 30 years. So I'm saying that because it is a depleting resource, it is only fair for the company to realize that they have to part with, the shareholdings that they have enjoyed for a long time, and that's 95%.
Responding to the governor's claim that PNG has only received 100 million kina in taxes per year from Porgera Mine over the past 15 years, Barrick said that taxes that have been generated by Porgera Mine and paid to the government over the period have been far greater. Barrick also claimed that over 4 billion kina in tax and excess revenues had been paid to the government since mining at Porgera began, with over 368 million kina paid to the government in taxes and excess arising from 2019 operations alone. Sir Peter says every investor or company operating PNG will at the end of the day pay taxes, and that is rightfully for the government. And what the government and the provincial government wants are better terms for the people.
Talking about their scenario, the proposal that they put to the national government, it is about taxes, income tax, all the taxes, tax credit. They are putting all this. That's rightfully that is already the people and the states. Participation or revenue anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's a Barrick or another company, the nation will still benefit on these taxes and tax credits projects and so on. What we are talking about is a commercial land. Now we have an opportunity, just like Octedi. Octedi is 100%. But in this scenario, we are now trying to negotiate for a better stake in the Porgera mine.
Meanwhile, issues in Porgera Valley's communities of electricity shortage, banking and hospital services, along with business loss for locals, is something the governor says is a short-term loss for a long-term gain. Sir Peter stating it will be something the provincial government will take into account on putting together a sustainable plan for the valley going forward.
Prime Minister said short-term pain for a long-term gain. So we will not compromise. We will not compromise. We know there's some hardship, but that's life. If we want to have a longer term gain, we have to make the sacrifices. I want the people to understand. It is easier for people like myself, to compromise. My people must understand. The province must understand. The people of this nation must understand. We have had enough of compromising leaders in this country. For once, we have to stand up for what is rightfully ours. And this is the opportunity I have.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister today on the FM 100 Talkback show had this to say about the Porgera mine.
Don't sensationalize issues out there in the public space, in the media. You feel you have some residual right, talk to us. Get rid of the court case, you talk to us. Well, we can hear you, but it'll be on terms that is friendly to our country.
Adelaide Kari, National, EMTV News.
All legal parties involved in the matter of Barrick New Guinea Limited and the state on the operation of the Porgera gold mine are expected to start a mediation process next Monday. National and Supreme Court Judge Justice Ambeng Kandakasi made this order after a previous court decision by the Waigani National Court for all parties to meet and discuss their grievances was not fruitful.
Parties involved in this matter include the Mineral Resources Authority, Barrick New Guinea Limited and the state. In the mediation process set to kick off at the Hilton Hotel next Monday, Justice Kandakasi, who appointed himself as the mediator, advised all parties to put out all their grievances and discuss on how best they can resolve these issues. Amongst the issues expected to be mediated include the NEC's decision to not extend Barrick's special mining lease and the state's position on whether Barrick will still be considered for partnership in developing the Porgera gold mine. This case was first taken to court in April by Barrick after the Mining Advisory Council advised NEC to refuse an extension on Barrick's SML when it expired in August 2019. The state's position is that Barrick's SML has expired, thus the government is doing everything it can to reopen the mine. Prime Minister James Marape, in numerous statements, has maintained that if Barrick has interests to continue operations in Porgera, it should withdraw the case and enter into commercial negotiation with the state and the landowners. However, in court this afternoon, Justice Kandakasi said both parties have not come to a resolution since April and mediation is the way forward. Meanwhile, since the closure of Porgera, Barrick estimates that 5.4 million kina is lost in revenue for landowners and the Enga provincial government each month, including an additional 68 million kina lost in tax revenue collection for Papua New Guinea. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Among other stories, when we come back, an update from the Prime Minister on the coronavirus. Details after the break. Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister James Marape this afternoon confirmed that NCD has recorded 3 more COVID-19 positive cases. In a brief interview at the National Command Centre, Marape urging the nation to be vigilant. The PNG Defence Force and police will be assembled to maintain order in the city. The announcements expected to be made by SOE Controller David Manning. Meanwhile, Deputy Controller Dr. Paisen Dakulala confirmed that the 3 new cases are related to known clusters.
Presence in our country exploiting to stage 4, which is really out of control. We just want to ensure that Port Moresby is contained. And as soon as we contain Port Moresby, that will include those who are traveling into Port Moresby. We must know who's traveling into Port Moresby, where is your area of address, what business are you doing in Port Moresby, especially from our 2 neighboring provinces, 2 NCDC, Gulf and Central. And I've spoken with the governors of both provinces for us to have and ensure that the borders are manned properly so that to the best of our ability, COVID-19 infection in Port Moresby City is not passed to Gulf and Central Province. So some of the detailed protocols, requirements and measures will be announced by the controller later today.
So just finally, how much do we know about the 3 the 3 new cases confirmed?
The 3 new cases again relate to few who work in contacts in one, I think, contact in Port Moresby Hospital. One is a contact of one of the cases that earlier was established, and so details are coming out on them, and we're also doing further tests around the place where they live in. I've also, one thing that I want to announce, first and foremost for us government, as I did say today, was our priority will be given to protecting our health workers, as well as police and military who are involved or will be involved in defending Port Moresby City from explosion or blowout of COVID-19.
With PNG's only major referral hospital scaling down its services since the start of this week, fractures in the current health system are starting to show, with claims of referral patients being sent home to recover. The relatives of patients admitted to the surgical wards at the Port Moresby General Hospital taking to social media, attributing this major concern to the recent outbreak of COVID-19. Annette Cora reports.
Speaking to a troubled relative who took to social media to express his disappointment of what he believes might be a breakdown of the country's health system, claims that her relative, given the urgency of her case, was referred to Port Moresby General Hospital from Popondetta, but was being sent home to recover despite needing close medical attention. Him, among other relatives of other patients who had been sent home, made a call through social media to get relevant authorities and management of POM-Gen to have these referral patients sent back to the hospitals in their home provinces to be cared for by health workers. EMTV, after seeing the post gain traction on social media, contacted the CEO for Port Moresby General Hospital, Dr. Paki Molumi, who refuted his claims, stating that after the recent outbreak of the virus in the COVID-19 lab tested positive, the hospital is expected to go into emergency mode, which would see to the scaling down of services for the next 14 days. Dr. Molumi states that those patients and referrals who are in the surgical wards and whose cases are severe have not been discharged from the hospital but moved to another part of the hospital while the ward is being disinfected. Additionally, stating that it is only the 4th day since the outbreak and the hospital's state of affairs will be assessed in the coming weeks on the status of monitoring the outbreak. Annette Kora, National EMTV News.
A magistrate at the Waigani National Court has advised police, prosecution and defence lawyers to take note of COVID-19 measures such as social distancing and wearing face masks. District Court Magistrate Tracy Ganai in court this morning said similar measures that were practiced during the state of emergency will again be enforced following the announcement of new cases in NCD. Magistrate Ganai said 20 cases will be heard in one day. 10 will be heard in the morning while 10 in the afternoon. On a normal court day, the Waigani District Court deals with at least 30 to 40 cases per day. However, with the COVID-19 restrictions, more cases are expected to be delayed for at least a month. At the District Court, everyone is required to wear a face mask, while those attending National Court matters are required to fill in contact tracing forms and to wash their hands before entering the National Court premises. Despite restrictions put in place as part of preventative measures against COVID-19, many Christians have been praying to God for protection and seeking His will during this crisis. Reverend Jacob Harry from Boroko United Church in NCD spoke to EMTV News about how the restrictions have impacted churches at the local congregation level. This has happened either in family fellowships, small prayer groups or corporate worship services.
Churches in PNG were restricted from having worship services and in-house fellowship programs during initial lockdown periods and state of emergency. But this has been relaxed eventually.
Yes, it has affected us both positively and negatively. Negatively because we have shut down many of our programs from the regional level down to from the assembly down to the region, down to our circuits, which is the structures we follow. There's the national level, the provincial level, and it comes down to the local congregations. They were grouped and called circuits. So when we shut programs down, that means we are shutting the places where we congregate and we enhance each other and, where we empower one another.
However, as part of new measures put in place under the new Pandemic Act 2020, churches are still not allowed to hold events that involve 100 people or more. This includes crusades, conventions and conferences at provincial or regional levels. This has sparked some reactions from the church community in recent weeks, where it has been viewed to be unfair, given that restrictions on nightclubs and gambling areas have been relaxed for operations.
It would be fair if the government would also allow us to open up our churches and our conferences and our conventions, because we will only meet maybe 1 day or 2 days, whereas if you're going to a nightclub, you'll be there over the whole weekend, or even the whole week. You are allowed to go in there, and you can mix. You think of a party place. People mix freely. Whether they've got COVID or not, who's going to be? I mean, it's quite hard to, when people are drunk, they can not distance themselves. It's thrown out the window. So which place is more controlled, a church or a nightclub? And why should we allow the nightclubs to operate, but we shut down the church?
Prime Minister James Marape, in announcing the highest number of cases recorded in a single day for PNG yesterday, encouraged people to refrain from going to nightclubs and gambling areas.
One of those cases, for instance, was a regular at Lamana Club, is a regular at Amani Club, is a regular at these places. So I'm just asking our residents in Port Moresby, you will not die if you don't have a glass of beer in a public place.
The church, apart from playing her role in spiritual nourishment for citizens in the country, has for many years also contributed significantly to PNG's development in the areas of education and health services, particularly where the government has not been able to reach. And so the church's role in the fight against COVID-19 in Papua New Guinea is now of vital importance, spiritually and socially.
And most paramount duty of the church is to take care of the spiritual life of the people of God. We are shepherds, and our job is to shepherd the sheep. And if the sheep are without leaders, then we will be held accountable for their welfare or their demise. Therefore, the church in Papua New Guinea must look after its people.
NCDC leadership led by Governor Pakop will be partnering churches and other distribution networks throughout our city to help distribute masks to every citizen.
Dennis Orere, National.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.288 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina is buying $0.2805, $0.3891 Australian dollars, $0.2353 euro, and 29.32 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee and copper closed higher, and cocoa closed lower. Crude oil is trading lower, palm oil and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 159.53 points higher. The ASX 200 is trading at 85.098 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 79.592 points lower. And National EMTV News continues with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The International Container Terminal Services supported the Morobe Provincial Health Authority with PPEs and test kits worth over 50,000 kina. The company has been working in collaboration with Morobe's Health Authority on ways to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. The company develops, manages and operates container ports and terminals in the country. Lae is its biggest port.
12,000 PPE and 125 test kits worth 60,000 kina were given to the Morobe Provincial Health Authority by Lae's ICTSI towards the COVID-19 operations. The support is part of ICTSI's commitment to health and safety at the workplace and in the communities.
Firstly, working with the COVID team here in Morobe, getting to understand the main control measures that we need to put in place, and then based on that we've actually come up with a emergency response plan, and the response plan's got a number of levels where we would look at various conditions that will become trigger points.
The International Container Terminal Services develops, manages and operates container ports and terminals in the country, including Lae. ICTSI is an important part of the country's supply chain as it continues to import and export goods, according to Chief Executive Officer Robert Maxwell.
Globally, worldwide trade is affected, so it hasn't really impacted Papua New Guinea so much, but in other countries we know that the container volumes are down. So with that one has to work with more efficient practices. We're doing that all the time, all around the world, to keep the cargo flows moving.
An emergency response plan is in place by ICTSI and Morobe's COVID-19 Preparedness and Response Committee. Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News, Lae.
It's been 40 years since the PNG Bible Translation Association, or PNG BTA, was established in July of 1980. Through the years, the organization has seen changes in how they carry out the work of Bible translation. Yesterday, to commemorate the day, small celebrations were held in different centers around the country.
Yesterday, the PNG Bible Translation Association celebrated a milestone of 40 years since its establishment. In the 40 years, 19 New Testaments have been translated, and they are currently working in more than 66 language groups throughout the country.
We'd like to say thank you for standing with us for the last 40 years, and we hope that you can stand with us for the next 40 years.
Before BTA was formed, it was set up as an advisory to the Summer Institute of Linguistics, PNG. The ministry was established to train locals to participate in the art of Bible translation. Current Director for Operations, Stephen Thomas, has served for 34 years with the organization and has seen the progression of methods used in Bible translation.
Giving scriptures to people in their own language that they can read and have an understanding of God's word in their culture and in their context. What it does is that it is, I think, the only medium by which the languages of Papua New Guinea are being preserved and saved from extinction.
Not only have they contributed to people's spiritual health, but also community development and, importantly, language preservation.
And many of them are so keen. And for us Christians, educated elite Christians in towns and cities, this is how we reach out to our, village people who are illiterates, who cannot. And this is how we serve them, so that they can be strong in their faith, in their walk with God.
Mr. Thomas attests that it is not an easy job, but those who partner with them help them to empower the people of Papua New Guinea.
Everybody to get involved in prayer or supporting in ways that they can. And therefore, this is not something that Bible Translation Association or SIL or Bible Society, Pioneer Bible Translators, we can't do this alone ourselves. This is a national issue.
Lilian Soperakinea, National, EMTV News.
And Trukai Sports is next. Kilawani is at the sports desk.
Thank you, Helen. AFL takes the sport to Central Province. Join me for that story in Trukai Sports when we come back.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The AFL Commission launched the AFL season proper in Hula Village, Rigor District of Central Province over the weekend. The launch included an exhibition match between the local teams and Port Moresby AFL teams who travelled down to witness the launch. The PNG AFL Commission travelled down to Hula Village over the weekend to launch the season proper 2020. Chairman of the Commission, Loy Bakani, officiated the launch.
Saturday, the 18th of July 2020, Mr. Loy Bakani, Chairman of the PNG AFL Commission, hereby launch the AFL Games for 2020. Thank you very much.
In his address, Mr. Bakani said Hula Village is also a potential AFL hub and sees a brighter future for the local area.
Privileged to come out here, promote AFL in the rural setting, in the rural place in Papua New Guinea, but this is very timely and very appropriate that we come to Hula. There's some thinking around going and having some games here. That's why we want to bring some permanency in terms of the grounds, the poles, so that we can, as the year goes on, we can come back here and have some games. either friendly or some real as part of the competition.
According to Ian Augera, an elite from Central Province, says Hula Village boasts of some of the best players in the code, both past and present.
From Matthew, you had a long list of Hula sons. You could say an Hall of Fame of Osuruls who were pioneers. Central Province, this is where Osurul grew up. And as you have heard, many of our elders have gone champion Osurul players representing the country. But more importantly, it's those who are sitting outside there. We need to give some directions and leadership to our community. And one of the ways to do that is through sports.
With the launching of the 2020 season, the program also highlighted the New Kick platform, a player pathway program for AFL PNG.
When the PNG AFL Commission and with decided to launch the 2020 season outside of Mosby, then we thought we would bring in the New Kick program to come and kick us off with today. Yeah.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To football. It is a plus for the Hekari United team in the Kumul Petroleum National Soccer League to have the former players Nigel Dabinyaba and Raymond Gunemba return to their team as the National Soccer League looks to commence next weekend. But the two players want a chance to prove themselves that they can help the Red team finish on top this season.
The National Soccer League season is set to commence next weekend with a revamped season. At the close of the competition due to COVID-19 restrictions, VTS United had shot up to the top of the competition, with Lay City FC in second place and in third place Hekari United. For Hekari United, they are keen on claiming the top spot of the league, and their efforts will be boosted by two national players who have been recruited for the Red Army. Nigel Dabinyaba and Raymond Gunemba, formerly of the Lay City FC, found themselves without a team after disagreements between the Lay City FC franchise owner. The duo, now signed to Hekari, returned to their former club, which they were part of in Hekari's 2014 Premiership win. Hekari, who dominated the National Soccer League since its inception before Lay City's rise to stardom, now Hekari has the chance to regain its former dominance. Gunemba and Dabinyaba have vowed to give their best to Hekari to help the team to the top. While speaking to the media for the first time, they thanked Voni Kapinato, the team manager of Hekari United, and the club for giving them another chance to resurrect their playing career. Mrs. Kapinato said it would be a challenge as both Gunemba and Dabinyaba look to win back the hearts of soccer followers after their much publicized drama as undisciplined players. The duo says all they want is to be given a fair chance by the fans, players and the franchise owners. They thanked Ian Cho and Lay City FC for what they have done for them for the past 3 seasons. Fidelis Sugina, Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. Helen will be back with the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Sunny and fine in Port Moresby, fine although cloudy in Popondetta. In the Mamasi region, cloudy with a few showers later in Ley, fine and sunny in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, fine and sunny in Lorengau, cloudy with a few showers later in Buka. And in the Highlands region, fine although cloudy in Mount Hagen and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's the way it is this Wednesday, the 22nd of July 2020. From all of us here at EMTV, a reminder though, tomorrow is Remembrance Day, a time to remember our fallen heroes who served during the war. Have a good night.